Chapter 1. Golden Dreams. Qing Mei stepped into the bustling city on a crisp morning. The crowded streets, the cacophony of honking vehicles, and towering skyscrapers left her in awe. With a small suitcase and a heart full of hope, Mei quickly made her way to the boarding house she had booked in advance. The boarding house was tucked deep in a narrow alley, noisy with the sound of motorbikes and the aroma of stir-fried street food. Mei's rented room was tiny, just enough to fit a bed and a study desk. Her roommate, Fang, was organizing her study corner when Mei arrived. Fang was a simple girl with her hair neatly tied back and gentle eyes. She greeted Mei with a warm smile and helped her unpack her belongings. The two quickly bonded and became friends. Mei's new life in the city began with early mornings rushing to school, cramped bus rides, and long nights studying under the desk lamp. Though exhausted, she refused to give up, knowing this was her only path to change her destiny. During her first days at university, Mei met Wei, a classmate who stood out with her fashionable appearance. Wei was nothing like Mei or Fang, who were from small towns. She always appeared in expensive outfits, wearing luxurious perfumes, with an air of confidence. Wei soon befriended Mei and invited her to coffee meetups with her wealthy circle of friends. Initially hesitant, Mei couldn't help but be intrigued by Wei's glamorous world. One afternoon at a posh cafe, Mei couldn't take her eyes off Wei's designer handbag. The stories of lavish parties and expensive trips made Mei realize how small and dull her own world seemed. When Wei asked about her life, Mei smiled faintly and gave vague answers. Yet deep inside, a spark of ambition was ignited. She wanted to be part of that dazzling world, to wear beautiful clothes, strut in sparkling high heels, and live the life she had only dreamed of. Fang soon noticed the changes in Mei. She seemed uninterested in their simple meals and often spent time with Wei and her affluent friends. One evening, Mei returned wearing a borrowed dress from Wei for a party. Fang sighed and asked, "Mei, do you really feel happy with all of this?" "Fang, you just don't understand. We can't stay stuck in this bubble forever. I just want a chance to change," Mei replied. Fang stayed silent. She understood Mei was being drawn to the allure of Wei's glamorous world but also knew that such a life was only a facade, hiding harsher realities. Mei began to distance herself from Fang, dismissing her advice as jealousy or conservatism. She believed that with enough effort, she could enter that world without losing herself. One day, Wei invited Mei to a party at a luxurious restaurant. For the first time, Mei found herself in an opulent setting with golden lights, exquisite dishes, and people dressed like they had stepped out of a fashion magazine. Mei felt both out of place and exhilarated. Wei introduced Mei to some wealthy friends. During the conversation, Mei masked her nervousness and tried to appear confident. She realized that by being witty and charming, she could easily attract attention. When the party ended, Mei returned to her room feeling conflicted. She was captivated by the world she had glimpsed but felt it was still out of reach. Determined, she began to think about how she could truly become part of that life instead of just a bystander. Fang grew increasingly concerned about Mei's transformation. One evening, she decided to have a frank conversation. "Mei, do you know where this path is leading you? Do those friends genuinely care about you, or are they just using you as a display piece?" Mei laughed dismissively. "Fang, I can't stay a small-town girl forever. Don't you see? I want to shine like they do." The conversation ended in uncomfortable silence. Mei realized she no longer shared the same perspective as Fang. She started distancing herself further, focusing on the new relationships Wei introduced. Mei gradually got used to spending time at high-end cafes, trying on elegant outfits, and listening to Wei talk about wealthy men who were willing to spend lavishly to please women. While Mei didn't fully agree with Wei's lifestyle, she couldn't deny Wei's ability to get what she wanted effortlessly. One day, Wei said to Mei, "This weekend, there's a big party with some major players in the business world. You have to come with me. Who knows, you might meet someone special." Mei agreed, though a part of her hesitated. She knew this could be her chance to step into the world she longed for, but she also sensed that it would not be as simple as it seemed. Chapter 2. Stepping into the light. Qing Mei stood in front of the mirror, admiring her reflection. The dress Wei lent her hugged her slender figure, accentuating her innocent yet alluring charm. Her black hair was lightly curled, cascading softly over her shoulders. For the first time, Mei felt she was no longer a simple country girl but part of the glamorous world she had always dreamed of. Wei picked Mei up in a luxury car. They arrived at a grand restaurant on the top floor of a towering building in the city. Sparkling chandeliers, elegantly dressed guests, and soft music filled the space. Overwhelmed by the opulence, Mei tried to remain calm and not feel out of place. At the party, Wei introduced Mei to several acquaintances, young entrepreneurs, lavishly adorned women, and showy individuals flaunting their wealth. Mei quietly observed, her bright eyes soon catching the attention of a confident and refined older man. The man was Rong, a successful real estate entrepreneur. Rong approached Mei and struck up a conversation. To him, Mei was a refreshing presence amid the artificial crowd. "Are you a friend of Wei? I haven't seen you here before," Rong said warmly, his gaze fixed on Mei. Mei shyly replied, "Yes, I recently got to know Wei. This is my first time attending a party like this." Rong quickly expressed interest in Mei, skillfully asking questions about her studies and personal interests. Mei felt genuinely heard and respected, something she had never experienced before. From afar, Wei watched with a calculated smile. She knew Rong was drawn not only to Mei's appearance but also to her innocence and distinctiveness in a crowd full of superficial people. As the party concluded, Rong offered to drive Mei home. Wei tactfully stepped back, giving them space to talk. On the way, Rong shared his story of building his career from humble beginnings to his current success. "Mei, you have a unique beauty. It's unlike anyone I've ever met. That's why I feel a strong desire to protect and help you," Rong said. Unsure how to respond, Mei was moved by Rong's words. For the first time, she felt she might truly belong to this world. Before saying goodbye, Rong handed Mei his business card, promising they would meet again soon. When Mei returned to her boarding house, Fang was waiting. Seeing Mei in an elegant dress, her eyes sparkling with joy, Fang couldn't hide her concern. "Mei, I know what you're chasing, but I'm afraid you'll pay a heavy price for it." "People don't give anything for free," Fang warned. Mei frowned, feeling hurt by Fang's words. "Fang, don't worry, I know what I'm doing. You always think poorly of people like him, but I find them very different," Mei retorted. The conversation ended in silence. Mei didn't want to argue with Fang, but a small part of her wondered if Fang might be right. A few days later, Rong called Mei and invited her to dinner. This time, Mei felt less nervous. Rong's gentlemanly demeanor and attentiveness made her feel special. During the dinner, he presented her with an expensive necklace, saying it suited her better than anyone else. Mei hesitated but eventually accepted the gift, convincing herself it was just a small token and that Rong genuinely wanted her to be happy. When Fang noticed the necklace, her worry deepened. "Mei, accepting this gift means you're stepping into his world. I don't think this is what you truly want," Fang said. Mei dismissed her concerns coldly. "Fang, I don't need you to tell me how to live my life." Rong continued to pursue Mei, inviting her to grand parties and taking her to places she had only seen on her phone. Every time Mei attended, she felt like a princess in a fairy tale. Rong didn't just give Mei gifts. He also offered to cover her tuition and living expenses, things Mei couldn't afford on her own. Despite a lingering unease, Mei couldn't resist the allure of the luxurious life Rong introduced her to. Gradually, Mei noticed changes within herself. She no longer cared about her studies as much, instead spending more time learning how to dress, beautify herself, and impress the upper class. Fang became increasingly distant, but she still tried to maintain their friendship. During one conversation, Fang said, "Mei, I don't recognize you anymore. Are you sure this life will bring you happiness?" Mei remained silent, though she didn't want to admit it. Fang's words made her think. Did Rong truly care for her, or was she just another accessory for him to display? Mei decided to continue her relationship with Rong despite her doubts. She told herself she might be overthinking. Rong had done nothing to harm her. On the contrary, he treated her well and gave her everything she had longed for. That evening, Rong took Mei to an even grander party attended by prominent figures. Mei knew this was her chance to fully enter the world she had dreamed of for so long. Chapter 3: A Life of Luxury. Qing Mei felt like she had stepped into an entirely different world. The parties Rong invited her to were not only extravagant but brimming with power and influence. The attendees were business tycoons, politicians, and celebrities. Mei wore expensive dresses that Rong had prepared for her, paired with high heels and sparkling jewelry. Standing beside Rong, she was no longer the girl from a small town but a true lady of sophistication. All eyes were on Mei when Rong introduced her as his special someone. "Mei, you need to get used to this. My world is different, but if you're by my side, everything will become easier," Rong said as he noticed Mei's lingering shyness. Rong's words were like a comforting balm, giving Mei newfound confidence. She began to adapt to the flashes of photographers' cameras, compliments, and the calculated handshakes that spoke of hidden agendas. Rong didn't just take Mei to parties, he also introduced her to the world of luxury brands. He often brought her to high-end fashion stores where she could pick out anything she desired. From handbags and shoes to perfumes, everything came from brands she had only dreamed of while looking through store windows. "Mei, you deserve the best," Rong said as he paid a bill equivalent to a year's worth of Mei's tuition. Mei couldn't deny that her life felt like a dream. Yet, during quiet moments, she would question herself. Were these material things truly the key to lasting happiness? Gradually, Mei discovered the darker side of these luxurious gatherings. Although everyone appeared friendly, she could sense the falseness in their smiles and glances. Women competed silently over beauty and fashion, while men evaluated women as though they were displays of wealth. Mei overheard whispers behind her back. "Who is she that Rong finds her so special? She doesn't seem extraordinary, probably just another passing fancy. He gets bored quickly." These comments hurt Mei deeply, though she hid her emotions. She knew that surviving in this world required strength and resilience. At one evening gala, Mei met Ning, a woman in her 30s with a beauty tempered by experience. Ning had once been a prominent figure at such parties, much like Mei was now. However, her current appearance reflected loneliness and exhaustion. Ning approached Mei and struck up a conversation. Her story surprised Mei. Ning had once been in a relationship with a wealthy man similar to Rong. Initially, she was pampered and lived in luxury, but as her beauty faded, she was discarded without mercy. "You're young and still have choices. Don't get trapped in this cycle, Mei. It's not as glamorous as it looks," Ning said with an earnest gaze. Mei felt conflicted. She wasn't sure whether to believe Ning's warnings. After meeting Ning, Mei shared her thoughts with Wei. Wei laughed, dismissing Ning's concerns. "Ning, she's just jealous. She couldn't hold on to her position and now wants to drag you down. Trust me, Mei, if you're smart, you'll know how to take advantage of the opportunities Rong provides." Wei's words were like a soothing remedy, easing Mei's doubts. She convinced herself that Ning was simply trying to scare her and that Rong was different from other men. Mei became increasingly immersed in the life of luxury. She ignored the warnings from Ning and Fang, focusing instead on perfecting her image alongside Rong. She learned how to speak tactfully, present herself impeccably at events, and ensure she always held Rong's attention. However, during moments of solitude, Mei couldn't help but feel an emptiness. She wondered if the gifts, parties, and Rong's attention were truly what she desired. Ning didn't give up. She approached Mei at another party, recounting her story in greater detail. "Mei, he doesn't love you. To men like Rong, you're just an ornament. When they find someone newer, prettier, they'll cast you aside, just like he's done with others before you." This time, Mei wasn't as unsettled. She smiled politely and thanked Ning for her advice, but deep down, she resolved not to let herself be swayed. Mei began to change completely. She distanced herself from Fang, avoided Ning, and severed ties with her past. She felt as though she had truly entered the world she once dreamed of. But one day, as she sat before a mirror, staring at her reflection, heavy makeup and a dazzling gown, Mei realized she no longer recognized herself. Chapter 4. Bitter Choices. Qing Mei entered the luxurious apartment Rong had arranged for her on a quiet weekend morning. Expensive dresses hung neatly in the closet, and the faint scent of high-end perfume filled the room. Yet none of it could dispel the heavy feeling weighing on her heart. Recently, Rong had begun to change. His initial sweetness had turned into specific demands, even control. One evening, as Mei was preparing a presentation for her class, Rong walked in with a disapproving look. "Mei, why do you bother studying so hard? I've taken care of everything for you. All you need to do is stay by my side, take care of yourself, and enjoy life." Mei froze. Rong's words sounded like a sweet promise but also felt like an order. She tried to explain that her studies were something she couldn't give up, but Rong shook his head. "I don't want you exhausting yourself with such things. There's nothing you need to prove. Just do as I say, and everything will be better." Mei began to feel trapped. Rong was no longer just the man who had given her the life she had dreamed of. He had become someone who controlled her every decision. Mei wanted to continue her studies to pursue her own dreams, but the allure of a luxurious life and her dependence on Rong left her feeling stuck. One morning, Mei received a text from Fang. The short but meaningful message read, "Do you remember why you left your hometown for the city? Don't lose yourself, Mei." Mei read the message over and over but didn't reply. Fang's words struck a chord, but Mei didn't know how to face the truth. One evening, at an event Rong took Mei to, she encountered Ning again. This time, Ning no longer looked radiant. Her face carried traces of sadness, though her eyes remained sharp. "Mei, are you sure you want to follow this path? Rong isn't the first man like this. He'll keep you until he finds someone new," Ning said. Mei felt uneasy. She didn't want to hear these words, yet she couldn't deny that they made her feel insecure. "You don't understand. Rong is different. He truly loves me," Mei insisted. Ning gave a faint smile. "They're all like that in the beginning. But you'll see the truth when the novelty wears off." Mei decided to share Ning's words with Wei. As always, Wei was composed and decisive. "Mei, Ning is just a failure. She wasn't smart enough to hold on to what she had. But you're different. You're beautiful. You have Rong, you have everything. Why worry?" Wei continued to convince Mei that all a woman needs is a wealthy man. Her words reassured Mei, but deep down, Mei couldn't entirely shake her unease. Rong's controlling behavior became more apparent. He demanded Mei report every detail of her life, from attending classes and meeting friends to how she spent her time. When Mei expressed her desire to continue studying, Rong grew angry. "I don't understand why you cling to that school. Don't you trust that I can take care of you?" Rong argued. Their first major argument erupted. Mei cried, feeling forced into a life she had once thought was perfect. But when Rong held her close, promising to love her forever, Mei softened again. Fang unexpectedly visited Mei at her apartment. For the first time in months, they talked like real friends. Fang didn't criticize or judge but quietly listened to Mei's story. "Mei, I don't want you to think I'm jealous or trying to hold you back. I just want you to remember that you used to be strong, confident, and didn't rely on anyone," Fang said. Her words brought tears to Mei's eyes. But just then, Mei's phone rang. Rong was calling, and Mei had to quickly say goodbye to Fang to answer. Ning decided to meet Mei one last time. She no longer tried to persuade Mei to leave Rong but instead shared her own story in greater detail. "I once thought I had everything. But when it was all gone, I realized I had lost the most important thing, myself. I can't stop you, Mei. But I hope you'll think carefully." Mei didn't respond, but Ning's words haunted her for days afterward. One day, Rong asked Mei to move in with him, which would mean giving up her studies. Mei didn't know how to respond. In her mind, she saw images of Fang, Ning, and even the things Wei had said. Mei knew she couldn't continue living under Rong's control, but she also didn't want to give up everything he had provided. She stood at the greatest crossroads of her life, faced with a bitter choice she had to make on her own. Chapter 5: A Fateful Encounter. Qing Mei sat quietly in the vast courtyard of the charity event. The space was adorned with warm golden lights, elegantly set tables, and guests dressed in luxurious attire. Although she had grown accustomed to such events, today, Mei felt a heavy weight on her chest. Rong's increasingly suffocating control left her weary, and it was Wei who had pulled her here, insisting that this is a great opportunity to meet important people. As Mei gazed absent-mindedly around, a gentle voice spoke from behind. "Would you like more water? I noticed your glass is almost empty." Mei turned to meet the eyes of Wei, a tall, slender man with a naturally kind demeanor. Dressed simply in a white shirt, he stood out among the lavishly dressed guests. "Thank you," Mei replied, slightly surprised by his attentiveness. Wei gently placed the glass of water on the table and introduced himself. "I'm Wei, a staff member with this charity organization. If you need anything, feel free to let me know." Mei nodded, her eyes following Wei as he walked away. There was something about him, his sincerity, that made her feel at ease, a feeling she hadn't experienced in a long time amidst the opulence of her current life. Wei returned after finishing his tasks and initiated a conversation with Mei. Unlike the empty, superficial small talk she was used to, Wei spoke of simple things, the charity's mission and the children they were helping. "Do you enjoy events like this?" Wei asked, his eyes filled with curiosity. Mei hesitated for a moment. "I'm not sure. Maybe I'm here just to play my role." Wei smiled warmly. "I think everyone needs a reason to be somewhere. But if you're interested, I'd love to show you a different perspective. We organize these events not just to raise funds but to help people understand the lives we're trying to improve." Mei felt the passion in Hui's words. He wasn't just doing a job, he poured his heart into it. Their conversation lasted longer than Mei expected. She found herself laughing and feeling at ease, a feeling she hadn't experienced in ages. After the event, Mei left with a strange sense of fulfillment. For the first time in a long while, she didn't feel consumed by the glamour of parties or the attention of others. Instead, Hui's words echoed in her mind. Back at her apartment, she received a text from Wei, urging her to join Rong for an outing the next day. Mei stared at her phone but didn't reply immediately. Mei decided to text Fang and share her encounter with Wei. After months of distant communication, this was the first time Mei had voluntarily opened up to her friend. "Fang, I met someone today. He's different from anyone I've ever known." Fang felt relieved to see Mei becoming more open again. She encouraged Mei, "Maybe this is your chance to reflect on yourself. You should get to know him better. He might help you rediscover what you truly need." Mei didn't reply but felt a faint glimmer of hope within her heart. Wei invited Mei to join an outdoor activity organized by his charity. This time, Mei didn't wear glamorous dresses or expensive jewelry. She chose simple clothes and put on sneakers she hadn't used in months. When she arrived, she saw children laughing and playing in a small playground. Wei was busy fixing a broken swing, his white shirt soaked with sweat but his eyes filled with joy. Mei joined the activities, from painting to storytelling with the children. Watching their innocent laughter, she realized that happiness didn't have to come from luxury or expensive possessions. From a distance, Wei observed Mei. He saw beyond her polished exterior and recognized a soul yearning for peace. After the activity, Wei invited Mei to dinner. The restaurant was a modest eatery by the roadside, worlds apart from the high-end venues Mei usually frequented. Yet the warm food and genuine conversation made her feel more at ease than she had in years. Wei shared his life story, the struggles he had overcome to help others. He didn't pry into Mei's past or express curiosity about her luxurious lifestyle. Instead, he focused on her feelings in the present. Mei, I think you're someone special. There's something about you that makes me believe you're capable of so much more than you realize. Mei was struck silent. Hui's words awakened a part of her she had long buried, a part she had ignored since stepping into Rong's world. Rong grew increasingly controlling. He was displeased when he learned about Mei's involvement in the charity activities and even jealous when he heard about Wei. Mei, there's no need to waste your time on things that bring no benefit. I want you to focus on our life together, Rong demanded. Mei stayed silent. She began to see the stark contrast between Rong and Wei. One provided material wealth but stifled her independence, while the other had little to offer materially but made her feel free. She knew she was facing a difficult choice, but this time, she wanted to make the decision for herself. Chapter 6. A painful turning point. Qing Mei sat in her apartment, her eyes fixed on the fiery red sunset outside the window. She had just ended a call with Wei, feeling a sense of relief after hearing his warm voice. Wei shared plans for upcoming charity projects and encouraged Mei to participate. He always believed she was capable of doing meaningful things, far beyond what she had ever imagined. But the peaceful moment shattered when urgent, insistent knocking came from the door. Rong stepped in, his face darkened, and his sharp eyes piercing through her. Mei, tell me, who is he? In Rong's hand was a phone displaying a photo of Mei and Wei talking during a charity event. Someone had secretly taken the picture and sent it to him. Mei froze, her heart feeling like it was being squeezed. What are you talking about? Mei tried to stay calm, but her voice trembled. Rong approached her, his voice cold as ice. Don't pretend, Mei. I've given you everything, life, comfort, and status. And this is how you repay me? Sneaking around with some nobody? Mei attempted to explain. He's just a friend. He works in a charity organization. It's not what you think. Rong cut her off, slamming his hand on the table, startling her. Friend, do you think I'm a fool? Who is he to you that you need to meet him? I won't allow you to embarrass me like this. His furious words cut deep into Mei's mind. Rong didn't stop at confronting Mei. That evening, he began imposing stricter demands. He wanted Mei to cut off all contact with Wei and even insisted she move into a new apartment he had prepared, where he could monitor her every move. Mei, I don't want any risks in our relationship. If you want to continue living under my protection, you need to obey, Rong said, his gaze leaving no room for argument. Mei felt suffocated. She was no longer allowed the freedom to do as she pleased. Whenever she tried to attend classes or meet friends, Rong would find ways to question her and impose restrictions. Mei turned to Wei to understand how Rong found out about Wei. Wei didn't seem surprised and even smirked at Mei's confused expression. Mei, did you really think you could hide it? I told you, Rong isn't someone you can fool. And I couldn't let you mess everything up. Mei was at a loss for words. Wei, why would you do this? We're friends. Wei shrugged. Friends? Mei, you're so naive. Rong is a powerful man, and you're just a temporary amusement to him. Do you think he's going to marry you? Stop dreaming. Wei's venomous words crushed Mei. She never expected someone she trusted to stab her in the back. In her state of turmoil, Mei happened to meet Ning at a small cafe. Ning, with her elegant appearance, carried a tinge of sadness on her face. Seeing Mei, she seemed to immediately understand the young woman was struggling. Without prying, Ning softly said, "Sit down, Mei. Today, I want to share my story with you." Ning recounted her past, about the years when she believed she had found the perfect man. She too had been pampered and lived in luxury, but everything fell apart when the man lost interest in her and sought a younger, more beautiful woman. I didn't just lose him, Mei. I lost my career, my friends, and even my self-respect. So many things that I'll never regain. Ning's words struck a chord in Mei. She listened silently, each word illuminating the path she was on. Not knowing what to do, Mei turned to Fang, her longtime friend who had always been there for her. Fang didn't blame her or get angry but simply listened patiently. Mei, I know you've been through a lot. But you're still young, with so many chances to change your life. I just want you to remember why we left our hometown for the city. Not to rely on others, but to stand strong on our own. Mei felt a weight lift from her heart. Fang's words weren't just advice, they were motivation for her to look at herself anew. Mei spent the night deep in thought. She stood before the mirror, staring at her reflection. She was no longer the determined small-town girl she once knew. She asked herself, how far have I gone to lose who I am? The words of Ning, Fang, and even Wei echoed in her mind. Mei realized that if she continued living this way, she would lose everything, not just material things, but her very sense of self. She decided it was time to rise and start anew. From that moment, Mei began planning a bold move, a difficult choice filled with hope for a better future. Chapter 7. Choosing Freedom. Qing Mei sat by the window of her apartment, her eyes following the rush of traffic outside. After a sleepless night of contemplation, she knew it was time to make her final decision. Mei glanced around the room filled with luxury items that once dazzled her but now felt strangely alien. The next morning, Mei called Rong, her voice calm. Rong, I think we need to talk. Rong arrived with his usual confident demeanor, not suspecting what Mei was about to say. I want to end this relationship. I'm grateful for everything, but I can't live like this anymore. Rong sat motionless for a moment before letting out a cold laugh. You think you can leave me that easily? Have you forgotten that everything you have is because of me? Mei met his gaze, her eyes resolute. Yes, I depended on you before. But now, I want to stand on my own. Rong's anger erupted, and he smashed the glass in his hand against the floor, his voice laced with menace. You'll never escape me. I'll make you regret this decision. But for the first time, Mei felt no fear. She walked away without looking back, her heart filled with determination. Mei returned to the small boarding room where she had once lived with Fang. The room was still as modest and simple as before, but to Mei, it brought back a sense of peace she had lost for so long. Fang opened the door, surprised and delighted to see Mei standing there with a small suitcase. Mei, you're really back? Mei embraced Fang tightly, her voice trembling. Fang, I'm sorry for ignoring you, for going too far and forgetting why we came to this city in the first place. I don't deserve your forgiveness, but I hope we can start over. Fang smiled gently and replied, Mei, I've always been here, waiting for you to come back. The two sat down and shared their stories. Mei felt as though a heavy burden had been lifted, and she realized that Fang was the true friend she should never have left behind. A few days later, Wei visited Mei, bringing his familiar warm smile and a proposal. He talked about a charity project his organization was running in a small mountain village. Mei, I think you'd enjoy this project. We need someone to help teach the children there. Would you like to give it a try? Mei hesitated briefly. She had never imagined herself doing such work. But Hui's encouraging gaze gave her the courage to say, Okay, I'll try. Mei traveled with Wei to the small village. The scenery there was a stark contrast to the glittering city. Modest homes lined the dirt road, and the laughter of children echoed everywhere. Mei began adjusting to her teaching responsibilities. At first, she struggled to connect with the children, but their innocence and genuine affection gradually melted her reservations. With each passing day, Mei discovered that true happiness came not from material possessions but from simple moments like seeing the children make progress. Wei was always by her side, helping with everything from preparing materials to encouraging her during challenging times. His patience and kindness made Mei value him even more. One evening, Mei sat by the stream under the moonlight, listening to the sounds of insects and the gentle flow of water. Wei sat beside her, quietly observing. Wei, do you think I can change? Mei asked, her voice tinged with doubt. Wei smiled. Mei, you don't need to change to become someone else. You just need to rediscover yourself. You've already accomplished so much here. You just need to believe in yourself. Hui's words were like a powerful source of strength. Mei felt herself healing, not just her spirit but also her sense of self-worth. During a trip back to the city for an education seminar, Mei decided to visit Ning. She wanted to thank the woman who had helped her realize the truth and start anew. Ning was surprised to see Mei at her doorstep. Gone was her cold demeanor, replaced with genuine joy. "Mei, you look so different. You found your path, haven't you?" Mei nodded and shared her story about teaching and the simple life she was now enjoying. "Ning, thank you. If it weren't for your advice, I might have remained trapped forever." Ning smiled, her eyes bright with pride. "Mei, you don't need to thank me. You changed yourself. That's what truly matters." Back from her trip, Mei sat with Fang in their small boarding room. She smiled as she reflected on her journey. Without the luxury goods or lavish parties, Mei felt she was truly living for the first time. She knew the road ahead wouldn't be easy, but with the support of friends like Fang, Ning, and Wei, she believed she could overcome anything. Chapter 8: Bonding and Forgiveness. After her heartfelt meeting with Qing Mei, Ning began to seriously reflect on her life. Mei's encouraging words served as a powerful source of motivation, making her realize she still had a chance to start over. Ning spent time planning her future, starting with returning to her passion: fashion design. Mei frequently visited Ning to talk. She noticed a significant change in her friend. The once gloomy evenings were now replaced with Ning's bright eyes as she enthusiastically shared ideas for new collections. Mei could feel Ning's joy as she rediscovered her purpose in life. "Ning, you've inspired me so much. I believe anyone can start over, as long as they have the courage to take the first step." Ning smiled and replied, "Mei, you've given me strength too. Thank you for believing in me, even when I couldn't believe in myself." Their relationship grew stronger, like two close friends encouraging each other on new paths in life. Meanwhile, Wei began to face challenges she had never anticipated. After being abandoned by the wealthy people she once relied on, she found herself in crisis. The massive debts from her extravagant lifestyle and the lack of income forced her to sell the luxury items she once prided herself on. In near desperation, Wei came to Mei's small apartment, where she was staying with Fang. When Fang saw Wei, her expression flickered with surprise but she said nothing. Mei stepped forward, looking at Wei with a mix of sympathy and contemplation. "Mei, I was wrong. I don't know what to do anymore," Wei said, tears streaming down her face. Mei pulled Wei inside, gently handing her a glass of water. She didn't scold or criticize, only listened quietly to Wei's story. "Wei, you once called me naive, but in truth, you were also just trying to find a support system, like I once did. I'm not angry with you, but now you have to stand up and face your challenges." Mei's words made Wei break down into sobs. She realized that among all the people she had known, Mei was the only one still willing to open her arms to her. Mei decided to help Wei regain her confidence in life. She started by encouraging Wei to join the charity projects she was working on with Wei. At first, Wei was reluctant, feeling ashamed to face such a completely different environment. But after a few sessions, seeing the smiles of the children she helped, Wei gradually realized the true value of giving. Wei also supported Wei wholeheartedly. He tactfully assigned her small tasks, helping her slowly regain her self-confidence. Wei began to feel that she wasn't just a failure but someone who could still contribute and do meaningful things. "Mei, I don't know how to thank you. Without you, I wouldn't have been able to get back on my feet," Wei said one afternoon as they sat together watching the sunset. Mei smiled. "Wei, I didn't do anything grand. It was you who chose to change, and that's what truly matters." Over the months of working together on charity projects, Mei and Wei grew closer. Wei wasn't just a companion but also someone who was always there to listen and share every joy and sorrow with her. One evening, as they were cleaning up after a long day of work, Wei said, "Mei, have you ever thought about your future? I see how good you are at connecting with people. I think you're capable of achieving great things." Mei was silent for a moment before softly replying, "I'm not sure. I just want to live true to myself, without depending on or feeling pressured by anyone anymore. But I feel like I'm on the right path. Wei nodded, his eyes filled with trust. I believe you'll find your way, and I'll always be here if you need me. Hui's words warmed Mei's heart. For the first time in a long while, she felt genuinely loved and respected. Mei and Wei often talked about their dreams. Wei shared his desire to expand the charity organization, bringing educational projects to more remote areas. Mei revealed her wish to help people like herself, those lost in life and in need of a foundation to start over. We can do it together, Wei said, his eyes brimming with passion. Mei smiled, feeling that with Wei by her side, nothing was impossible. Mei, Ning, Fang, and Wei began spending more time together. They weren't just friends but companions who supported each other through life's challenges. At a small gathering, Ning looked at Mei and said, "Mei, you've not only changed yourself but also those around you. I'm truly proud of you." Mei smiled and replied, "We've all changed. What matters is that we never give up hope." Those words served as a reminder that no matter how difficult life may be, with faith and connection, anything can be overcome. Chapter 9. A New Beginning. Qing Mei sat beside Wei in a small cafe, her eyes glowing with excitement as she shared a sudden idea that had come to her. She wanted to open a shop selling handmade products combined with a cozy space for community gatherings, where people could share their stories and learn from each other. What do you think if we don't just sell products but create a space where people feel they belong to a community? Mei asked, her eyes filled with enthusiasm. Wei nodded with a smile. That's a wonderful idea. I believe you can do it. If you need anything, I'll always be here to help. With Hui's support, Mei began drafting a detailed plan. She decided to collaborate with Ning, who had experience in fashion and design, and Fang, who was ready to contribute with her creative ideas and financial management skills. Wei helped Mei find a small space located on a quiet but charming street. The venue was old, with peeling paint on the walls and creaky wooden floors. Yet to Mei, it had the potential to become a unique space. Ning eagerly joined the effort, suggesting a design that blended modern and traditional elements, using recycled materials to create an eco-friendly atmosphere. Fang handled the financial planning, from estimating renovation costs to projecting profits. Mei, I think we should start small but make it distinctive. Don't try to compete with the bigger stores, Fang advised firmly. Mei nodded, feeling fortunate to have friends like Ning and Fang by her side. While Mei focused on opening her shop, Wei began her journey of rebuilding her life. After enduring difficult times, she decided to venture into media, a field where her communication skills and sharp instincts could shine. Wei often visited Mei's shop, helping with small tasks like decorating or taking photos for promotions. Though the road ahead was challenging, Wei felt more confident knowing she no longer needed to rely on anyone. Mei, I owe you so much. If it weren't for you, I might have remained stuck in failure, Wei admitted one evening as the group relaxed after a long day. Mei smiled and replied, Wei, you don't owe me anything. You stood up on your own, and that's what matters most. After months of preparation, Mei's shop finally opened. The opening day was warm and inviting, attended by close friends and neighbors from the community. The shop was named Rebirth, a tribute to Mei's journey and the stories of those around her. The displayed products included handcrafted items designed by Ning, creative upcycled goods, and a small section showcasing inspirational stories. Wei stood beside Mei, his eyes filled with pride as she welcomed the first guests. Mei, this is just the beginning. I know you'll achieve even more, Wei said, holding her hand. Mei felt her heart warm with gratitude. The shop quickly became more than a place for commerce, it evolved into a meeting point for people who had once felt lost in life. Mei hosted storytelling sessions, inviting Ning to share her journey of rediscovering her passion and encouraging Wei to speak about the lessons she had learned from her mistakes. Everyone has their own story. What matters is how we learn to overcome and start anew, Mei said during one gathering. Her words resonated deeply, and the attendees began to see the shop as an indispensable part of their lives. Wei became an increasingly important part of Mei's life. He wasn't just a source of financial support but also an unwavering emotional anchor. One evening, as they cleaned up the shop after a busy day, Wei spoke unexpectedly. "Mei, I never thought I'd find someone who makes me want to settle down and build a future. But now, I think I've found her." Mei looked at Wei, her heart trembling at the sincerity in his eyes. She softly replied, "I feel the same. Thank you for always being here." Their relationship grew quietly but deeply, built on trust and mutual respect. The rebirth shop gradually stabilized and thrived. Each day, Mei felt she was living a more meaningful life. No longer ensnared by the false allure of luxury, she found peace in knowing she was doing something positive for herself and those around her. Fang, Ning, and Wei continued to stand by Mei. Each had found their own path, yet their bond remained an essential part of their individual journeys. On a tranquil evening, the group sat together, discussing future plans. Mei smiled as she looked at her closest friends. She knew that no matter how challenging life became, they would always be there, facing every obstacle together. Welcome to Fantasy Realms. Enjoy the story, and thank you for your support. Chapter 10, Simple Happiness. As the sun set, its warm orange hues painted the sky. At the small store, Renewal, Qing Mei and Wei were busy preparing for a small celebration marking the store's initial success. Tables were neatly arranged and decorated with colorful wildflowers, creating a cozy and inviting atmosphere. Fang handled the food preparation, Wei assisted with the table settings, and Ning meticulously checked every decoration detail to ensure everything was perfect. "Mei, can you see it? We all made this happen," Fang said with a proud smile. Mei stood still, taking in the surroundings, her heart filled with joy. This wasn't just a party to celebrate the store's success, it was a moment for everyone to reflect on the journey they had shared. As the celebration began, the room was filled with laughter and warm conversations. Wei stood up, raised his glass, and said, "Today, we're not just celebrating the success of Renewal, but also the growth and transformation of each of us. I want to thank Mei for leading us here and everyone else for standing by each other's side." The group applauded, their eyes turning to Mei. She stood up, her voice trembling with emotion but sincere. "Thank you, everyone. We've all been through tough times, but because of each other, we made it through. I've come to realize that happiness isn't found in material things but in genuine moments and precious relationships like these." Ning added, "Mei helped me see that life doesn't end with failure. I've regained my motivation and faith because of her and all of you here. We are proof that it's never too late to start over." Sitting beside Mei, Wei wiped away tears. "I used to think life was all about money and power. But now I understand that the most important thing is having people who are there for you when you need them. Mei, thank you for not giving up on me." Those heartfelt words warmed the atmosphere even more. Everyone came to realize the value of friendship and connection. Elsewhere in the city, Rong sat in his office, staring blankly at financial reports. Ever since Mei left, his career had started to decline. His business relationships, once built on flattery and power, had begun to crumble as his partners lost trust in him. One of Rong's major investments had failed, leaving him with a massive financial loss. The phone rang incessantly, but none of the calls brought good news. The lavish lifestyle and power Rong once held were now shattered pieces. No one stayed by his side, as those who surrounded him before were opportunists, mirroring how he had treated them. Rong realized that everything he once took pride in had lost its meaning. He had lost the most valuable things: trust and genuine affection from the people around him. Back at the party, Mei stood next to Wei, watching everyone laugh and talk together. Her heart felt light and at peace. After everything, she had found the true meaning of happiness. Wei looked at Mei, gently taking her hand. "Mei, you did it. I'm so proud of you." Mei smiled and replied, "It wasn't just me. We did it, together." The celebration ended in a warm atmosphere and echoed laughter. Mei stood by the window, gazing at the bright moon in the sky, her heart serene. She knew that life ahead would still hold challenges, but she was no longer afraid. Beside her were people who loved her and were ready to accompany her through every journey. Chapter 11. Peace Within Reach. Rong sat alone in a quiet cafe, a place he used to frequent for meetings with partners and lavish dates. But today, no one was there with him. The admiring glances and flattering words that once surrounded him were now just memories. A major project he had pinned all his hopes on had failed. Mounting debts forced him to sell his luxurious apartment and other assets to cover expenses. Once a powerful man, he now felt like a failure. As Rong stared silently at his cold cup of coffee, a familiar voice spoke from behind. Rong? Rong turned around, surprised to see Qing Mei. She looked radiant, with a gentle smile and eyes no longer filled with the hesitance he remembered. Mei, is that you? Rong asked softly, his voice tinged with awkwardness. Mei nodded and sat down beside him. She looked at the man who once controlled her life, now weary and alone. Are you doing okay? Mei asked, her voice kind yet filled with genuine concern. Rong let out a bitter laugh. I'm not okay. Everything I once took pride in has turned into debts and emptiness. But I suppose this is the price I have to pay. Mei remained silent for a moment before speaking gently. Rong, I was angry at you for a long time, but I've come to realize that anger doesn't help me move forward. No matter what happened, I want to thank you for teaching me an important lesson. True happiness isn't found in material things, but in peace and sincerity. Rong looked at Mei, his gaze softening. For the first time, he felt truly heard without being judged. Mei continued, you still have a chance to change. Everyone does, as long as they're willing. You can start by doing small, meaningful things, like helping others or rediscovering joy in simple things. Rong chuckled, his eyes filled with regret. I've hurt so many people, including you. I don't think I deserve another chance. Mei shook her head, her eyes resolute. We all make mistakes, Rong. What matters is what we learn from them. Start with the things you once overlooked. Living well isn't about making amends for others, it's about finding peace within yourself. Mei's words left Rong speechless. He never imagined that the woman he had controlled and hurt could now speak such compassionate and forgiving words. Before leaving, Mei placed a hand on Rong's shoulder, her gaze sincere. Happiness isn't something you can buy. You have to find it within yourself, in the smallest of things. I believe you can change, as long as you want to. Rong didn't reply, only nodding. As Mei walked away, he remained seated, a mix of bitterness and gratitude swelling within him. She had once walked out of his life, yet today, she had brought him a glimmer of light in his darkest hour. In the days that followed, Rong reflected on Mei's words. He visited a shelter for the underprivileged, quietly donating part of his remaining funds to help the homeless. At first, he did it to ease his guilt, but over time, he discovered the joy of giving without expecting anything in return. Rong also reached out to old friends, not to ask for help but to apologize. Some forgave him, others didn't, but that no longer mattered. He understood that the only thing he needed to do was live better and avoid repeating past mistakes. Returning from her meeting with Rong, Mei felt a sense of relief. She knew she had made the right choice. Forgiveness wasn't about lightening someone else's burden, it was about freeing herself from the weight of the past. The gathering at her shop concluded with laughter and joy. As Mei watched her friends around her, she realized that each of them had overcome their own journeys to be here, together. Mei smiled, her eyes sparkling under the golden lights. We've made it, and I believe the future will only get better.